horribly wrong. It's like there's fucking dead things everywhere. I mean,
Unalived things, TikTok, unalived things.
unalived things. And I mean, my last shred of sanity could be hung up on the wall as well. That is also unalived. Yeah, this is my current apartment away from all the germs, and it's really shitty down here. I'm in my basement, and for those of you who do not have the pleasure of seeing what my current background, I'm on an air mattress, by the way. I'm sleeping on an air mattress away from my family because my husband has the plague. The air mattress doesn't stay inflated all night, as air mattresses tend to do, but it is better than sleeping sideways on the couch.
I'm not jealous of your current situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it is interesting to say the very least. Yeah, I think, oh, I did move it. I've got my handy middle of the night inevitable mask where my oldest is like, "Mom," and he like is just coughing like incessantly. So I put this on and I did it tonight. Like I've been wearing it literally anytime I'm upstairs in the house. He looked at me tonight and he's like, "What is this, like Avatar? What are you?" And I'm like, "All of you are germ factories." And I have never wanted anything less in my entire life than the plague that has parked its lovely self in my house for the last 7 days.
I'm sorry. I hope you
Sorry.
managed to keep it away.
I know, I do too. I've used 3 full cans of Lysol thus far, like the soft surfaces stuff. And I took to like the old-fashioned way of mixing bleach and water and I have like a whole routine for all the like high touch surfaces, is how badly I do not want this.
I hope it
Have
works.
like, oh my God, like I'm in the seventh ring of hell right now.
That's one heck of an intro. If you're new here, welcome to our podcast, Enneagram
Mm,
Adventure, where we're
So
going to
glad
talk
you're
about
here.
life. We might get to the Enneagram, but we're definitely going to talk about life today. But yeah, Tannah and I are both IEQ 9 certified coaches with that Enneagram tool. And each week on this podcast, we talk about life, growth, development through the lens of the Enneagram, relationships. Anything else before we get back to the crazy
My
stories that are
God.
your life of the last week?
Yeah, I don't think so. Besides, like, yeah, guys, the Enneagram is not about behaviors, it's about your core motivation, which is important because if one was looking at all of my behaviors for the last
At least 4 days.
at least 4 days, I would be very eight.
Or very one.
Yeah, I'm very angry and very, like, I need to control everything right now. Yeah. So it's not about that. So, like, don't freaking judge me, okay? For what you're about to hear. This is fucking insane.
Real life. If you log in here, you will get a dose of real life from time to time and a side of the Enneagram.
Yeah.
I was thinking though, like, because, we never, I shouldn't say never, we rarely choose our topics ahead of time for this podcast. And anybody who's a regular listener is likely aware of that at this point. But when we were talking about setting up to record for tonight, and I was texting you, and what do you want to talk about? And you're like, I don't know. I don't know outside of how terrible things are right now. And I was thinking maybe we should talk about dealing with change or dealing with grief.
Mhm.
Those things are linked also. So maybe there's a way for us to tie into that. I
Yep.
think, for me, my life of the last week has not been nearly as dramatic as yours, but there's just like a lot of things that are on the horizon for me right now, and some of them are very exciting, and somehow that also feels like scary and unexpected and a little unstable, and I'm trying to be okay with that. So I don't have a house full of sick kids and a sick husband, but there's plenty of shit
Thanks.
happening. Yeah.
That sounds like a great set of things that I could definitely riff on for a while. So where do I start?
I don't want to bring up a sensitive subject for the podcast, but because we're talking about grief, this whole thing started in a very grief-filled sort of way before your family
Mm-hmm.
got the plague.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm in a better headspace about it now. It's moment to moment. But from a grief perspective, we unexpectedly, I say unexpectedly, he was 12. So we had to put my 12-year-old dog, Bentley, down very suddenly. It had been like a off couple of days for him, but like that's kind of normal being a 12-year-old dog. Like he was arthritic and itchy and all the things. If you watch any of this podcast, he was usually on my lap when I was recording, and I was very, very, very attached to him. He was just like, he was kind of my person, kind of. Like he got me through when my husband was working night shifts. He helped me become like a mom to humans instead of him. He was like the best old man big brother that we could have ever asked for with the dogs. I think that's like something like people go through when they have kids and they have a dog first, is like, oh God, how is this gonna go? And he was amazing. Like he was the best dog ever. He slept through the night from the moment we brought him home. He slept in the same spot every night with his head on my pillow, snoring in my face. And yeah, it was like so, so hard. I cried for 2 days straight. I never stopped crying. I would wake up out of like I think I just passed out. Like when I fell asleep, it was just like an exhaustion, and then I would wake up like crying. And like being the thinks like a six that I am, I've played this whole situation out in my head so many times, like to the point where I've grieved him in moments, like, and it was an everyday thing. Like now that he's 12, it would be like this thought that would cross my mind at some point during the day with him. And, but it was never real. Like it wasn't actually there, so I wasn't actually experiencing it. I was just like pre-suffering myself through it. And like animals are crazy because for like the week leading up to that day, was following me around more than normal. Like was standing under me like constantly. And he was coming with me to put the kids to bed, which was not like normal for him. And I could just tell like he something was very wrong in the evening is when I really like refused his first meal that he's ever refused in his entire life. Like he was the kind of dog that like you if you just like continuously put food in the bowl, he would eat it until like something horrible happened to him. And he wouldn't eat. So we tried to make him some scrambled eggs and he wouldn't eat that. And I was like, something's very wrong here. So I asked my husband to take him in because I was like, it doesn't like there's something off. And my husband took him in, and they ended up doing blood work, found he was anemic. So then they did an ultrasound and an x-ray and found he was like filled with cancer. He could have like we technically could have brought him home that night, but there was a very high probability that he might like start bleeding out. And I didn't want my kids to see that if it came down to it. So we figured it out where I could get to the emergency vet. My sister came to watch the monitors for the kids, and I got to hold him. I got to tell him like all of the things that I needed to tell him, and it just all, like, happened so fast. It happened so fast, and I think, like, the universe works in really weird ways. I would have had immense guilt had he been home all day by himself, but my kid was sick, so I was home. So, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that he like, I think it would have been worse for me if it was something that we found and they were like, "Well, it could be 4 more months, it could be" like, we don't know. I think that would have, like, eaten me alive every day.
Yeah.
But it was very, very, very hard, and when, like, the crushing things happen that, like, my oldest son was sick, so that next morning, he came down on the couch, and he sat down on the couch, and he's like, "Mom, maybe Bentley could just lay with me today." And this was, like, right before we were gonna tell them that he was gone, and my husband and I were just bawling and, like, explaining this to them, and, like, my 4-year-old really doesn't grasp it, like, he kinda gets it, he kinda, like,
Yeah.
um but my older one, he's so cute, he's like, "Can we have a celebration of life for him? I want our family to come." He wants to do, like, a gravestone and, like, a whole thing where we all talk about him, and he's just, like, this soft-hearted sweetheart, and then, like, I'm in the crying phase, and I'm taking my youngest to bed the other night, and I'm crying, and he's like, "Are you sad because Bentley died?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm sad because Bentley died," and he looks at me and, like, like, R's are hard right now, the letter R.
Sure.
He's like, "Mommy, but he's in your heart," and I'm like, "Wreck me."
Yeah.
Like, just, like, absolutely wreck me, right? But, like, I think it's important for them to see, like, kind of that raw emotion, like, I wanna be strong, like, I want to explain all the things to them, but there was no stopping the tears that were happening for me. So, yeah, it has been a terrible week,
Because
and
then
it
right
was
after
funny, like,
that,
right after that, so my oldest continues to be sick throughout all of this, and then literally the next day, my husband goes down for the count, and he's got, like, 104 fever, like, he is sequestered to the bedroom, like, I am like, "You are locked in there, you live there now. I have to live down here, you're living up there." Yeah, and, my oldest was supposed to be going to 2 birthday parties and a basketball game on Saturday. One was for my niece, who is his, like, best friend, and it's just been a hell of a time here. But grief is funny because, like, at one point, I was like, "How am I ever gonna not feel like this?" You know? You're like, "When does this feeling stop?" And I was laying in my basement quarters here, crying, thinking that thought, and I get onto ChatGPT, and I'm like, "When does this stop?" And then ChatGPT is so empathetic, right? It's like, "Oh my gosh, what you're experiencing is so hard and so valid. I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "I know, it's harsh."
oh my gosh, the robots.
I'm,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
so effed up. It's like when I used to chat, like, smarter child on AOL. Like, yeah, that's, like, the first bot, right? Um, oh my god, it's been wild, it has, but, like, I think I do think a few things with all of this, and this will tie back to the Enneagram, I promise. I feel so deeply with grief in particular, and I think I can I gravitate towards that, like, in codependency so hard during those times that I do think that my husband got sick because part of it is, like, I need to be able to kind of work through this on my own, to be able to resolve more of it instead of just, like, leaning so much of it on someone else to, like, make me feel better. you know? It took me a hot while. I think that thought arrived to me at like 4:30 in the morning one of these last days, where had I not been forced to be like by myself right now, I don't think I would be in as good of a spot as I am in, like, not even a week after Bentley passed away. Like, I needed to independently feel like that depth of sadness without a fix in order for me to move through it. And it, like, I was channeling Brandon in my head through all of this. It's like, I went back and listened to a couple of your guys' podcasts to like get any shred of like rational thinking in my head. So as fucked up as it is, it's like I am a little grateful that I've been forced to like be in it by myself. But now I'm to the point where it's like it's the angry part.
Yep. Denial, then anger.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like it's very like I can't believe this is happening and I'm experiencing those changes like every single day because there's some things that I did at home that I didn't even realize that I would do. Like, I catch myself glancing over at a spot where I know he would normally be. And I didn't realize that that I would do that, that I would look for him until I was looking for him and didn't see him. It's those moments, or it's the moments where, like, he quite literally at night would just like crawl on me like a baby and just like let me hold him and he would sleep. And it was amazing. That's why I never wanted a third kid. I was like, I get to hold a baby every night. It like doesn't cry or talk back at me in 3 years. So I that two energy was like so prevalent in the first 48 hours. And then I like cried so much to the point where I didn't have any tears anymore. Like, you get to that point where you're like, there's just not tears. And then like, that's when the anger set in. And then naturally my family is sick, so that's another thing for me to be pissed off about. I'm like, and the fucking kid's sick and the fucking husband's sick. Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I was FaceTiming my sister and I was to the point where I was like slightly delirious, tired, and she's just chatting with me about it. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I just look up and I'm like, "Serenity now." Like, what the fuck is going on? I need sage and like a pallet of sage,
Yeah.
Costco size sage. I need a bonfire of sage
I
with
mean,
all the house windows open and get this negative energy out of here. That's what I need. So it's very, and right now, what I'm experiencing is like when people bring me like stupid things, like how I perceive to be something small, right? Like my dad, or like I think it was my dad. My dad said something like stupid to me about something he was irritated about. I'm like, oh, okay. Tell me all your problems.
also run out of patience at this point in the process.
I know. So it's it's not great. And in the work that I do in a day to day, it is a very conscious decision to like choose words wisely. But it's
Yeah, it
exhausting
can be.
because it's like it's very I feel so eight right now where I feel like I could say or do anything and not give a shit.
At least for a moment, and then you might later.
And then I'll feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that's a good point too on the Enneagram side. Like, this is a perfect example of how this pile up of things has taken you like fully through like the stress number, right? Like, it's just like piled up, piled up, piled up. Now you're like living in that stress number space.
I'm living very low side of 8.
Yes.
Like I am abrasive. I am like challenging for the sake of challenging some stuff. It's yeah, and it's very like bull in a china shop is how it feels to me.
I think it's interesting, you're asking Chat GPT, like, how long is this gonna last in that whole thing. One, I'm not an
Yeah.
advocate for using Chat GPT as your therapist. So like do what you got to do to get through a moment, but just to the general public of
Right.
our listeners,
Right.
like
Right.
maybe
Disclaimer, that was a weak
yeah,
moment. Don't do it.
don't that shouldn't be a common thing. But I do think what you made me think of was however many episodes ago, it was a long time ago, right? When I was talking about being sick and how I was like, I just don't want to feel sick anymore. And then it was like, just stop fighting it,
Yeah.
right? Like, just like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like, you can't make it go away faster. That's really hard though, when you're like in the depths of it. And it even,
Mhm.
like, outside of that example, it even makes me look back and think, I don't know why I was thinking about it today. But I was thinking about like people that you inadvertently end up spending a lot of your life with, right? Like
Right.
coworkers.
Mhm.
And they're not people that you necessarily chose to spend,
Mhm.
40 to 60 hours a week with, depending on what your job is. And yet like they can become like really important, and it came up to like something came up today where it was like, "Oh, do you remember XYZ situation from the past?" And I was like, "Holy shit." Like
Mhm.
we've been working together a long time. And anyway, my point in all of that is like there have been times where like I thought about like how hard it would be to lose this group of people, or like what happens if, or what is that, how does that look? And to your point of pre-suffering, right? It's the imagining the loss. I don't know exactly where I'm going with this in grief, other than like I think that when we have these tough moments, we end up with these people that we didn't expect, and they experience like these different things in different ways with us. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like on a rabbit hole. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm actually saying, but as you were talking about like grief and like being in the feeling, I was just like, there's just like a lot of like stuff surfacing outside of like a specific instance where I'm like thinking about like people who've left or people who've moved on and the impact of that. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going.
Well, it's change. And like that's the thing, right? Is like every time I subconsciously look over to look for him and he's not there, right? That's change because normally like I would stop what I was doing and like go pet him or go like
Right.
I would do something different and that's like a big change for me. I think the other thing like there's some deep work involved in this with me and like how attached I get to animals and like it was my safe spot when I was a kid and like I lost my first dog like pretty traumatically. Like we lived in the country and she got attacked by a coyote on St. Patrick's Day. And then my second dog died on Father's Day. They were like my safe place. And like I just get very, very attached because it's like unconditional, right? Like no words need to be spoken. It's just like consistency and dependability and like all of the safe things, right? So I get very, very attached and the change of that because what I have to move through with animals is like I will never have another him. Like there will never be another one that is just like him. And I need to like make my peace with that because it was so perfect in my head. And so it's not just changed the routine. It has changed the routine, but there's deeper emotional change that's happening under the surface amongst all of that other change. And the noise of that is sometimes like just way too overwhelming
Yeah.
because what I've what I've had to do consciously because it can get so noisy is I have to literally try to separate it. And I Brandon has said this to me before, but like that's when I need to like go out and go for a walk or I need to like do something to be able to separate. And I need to allow myself to feel that emotion. It just hurts so bad. And change can feel that way, like because of discomfort, right? So it might bring up a different feeling for you depending on the situation and what the change is. But a constant that you're used to having in your day, like a coworker, people genuinely grieve that. And I get it. Like you spend 5 days a week at a minimum of 8 hours, and there's relationships that are built, and then it's the things you would normally do, maybe go to lunch or go like
Yeah.
have your person to kind of bounce those things off of, because let's face it, it's just not the same with your spouse. They don't get it.
Well, and there's even, yeah, to that point, like the coworker thing, yeah, you definitely grieve it when people are leaving or when you think about something changing in that sphere, and it can be really hard for people to accept changes in the coworker space. But to your point, like even your very best friend outside of work, if you like start talking about work stuff, they'll never truly understand that situation, like the person who's sitting in the desk next to you, like when the thing happened.
Yeah, like the person that you can lock eyes with across that meeting table and they know what you're thinking.
Yeah, and you're like,
That's a
okay. Yeah.
Yep. Like we're gonna talk about that later, but you're saying it with your eyes.
Well, and I think, every number goes through or has things with change that'll be a standout for that. Oh, sorry. And or most important to them, right? And twos, it's always going to be in the relationship space. I think when I think about me and grief, and I think it might be true of other fives as well, although, I would welcome any pushback on that somebody feels differently than I do. I think my biggest, and I think we've touched on this before, but my biggest kind of thing when it comes to grief is intellectualizing it away, right?
Right.
Like logicking it away. So even
Right.
when it's a super sad situation and I will bury whatever the feeling is in the logical reasons of why it's okay. And for me, that then shows up kind of later on as unhealthy, right? Where I haven't processed it, where it comes up unexpectedly in unexpected places or in situations that it doesn't no longer would make sense for it to come up in because I've done the, oh, well, it would like for Bentley, like well, he was 12, well, it was this, well, it was that, right? And that would have, then I would have like let myself off the hook from dealing with those feelings.
God, when I was calling you and I called you and I could not stop crying. I was like, he was 12. Like, I feel like this is irrational. And you were like, well, it's probably not wise to rationalize this away.
Yeah. Yes. Better
Uh,
to feel it right now than
right.
to,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, my 8 husband, like, really surprised me. We've talked about this before. I've had this conversation with him of like, I need you to know that when Bentley dies, I'm going to be a mess. Like, I've had that conversation with him, and he's like, he's a dog. We have kids now. Because they do, like, that relationship changes when kids enter the picture. Like, it's just different. I don't know. Because he's got the plague, we haven't talked through this that in depth, but I was thinking about, like, I think he was very emotional, very emotional. And I don't know if it was because he had to tell me on the phone because he was the one who took him and like see me so devastated, or if it was like how quick it was. And I think with that 8 energy, like there's some things that are completely out of your control. Like I saw him get like that anxious and that really emotional when I had an emergency C-section with my first pregnancy. And it's like there's nothing you can control in this situation. And you have to do this thing. And that is so uncomfortable, but he had like really big feelings about this. And I was super grateful for it because it was like this sucks. Like be
Yeah.
sad with me. It would have been like a red flag for me if there were no tears. I would have been like, dude, what? But grief for him, like I've seen him grieve before. Like he's lost people close to him. I've seen him grieve. It was never like outwardly emotional the way that it was with Bentley. So that was interesting because I don't know if it is like to the point of the grief plus the change, because I do think for him, like I noticed that same day the tie out was gone. And I think there's
Yeah.
just some things of like, I don't want to look at that every day. I can't look at
Yep.
that every day. This is something I can control, so I'm going to take it and I'm going to deal with it. He knows better than to get rid of like the bowls or the bed or anything because I'll be like, don't touch it. Don't you touch it.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting to like experience him that way. I also think like just because of all the emotions flying around in my house that his illness is worse, but
I
that's
mean,
just my 2 cents.
you could also look at it, through the lens of this illness is pretty bad because typically he's not necessarily dealing with the emotions that he should deal with. And so he kind of like opened the door with this one
It's been
maybe, and they
open.
like, yeah, and there's like a
Like he kicked that fucking
big,
door right in.
yeah, and maybe there's like a big release coming from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, we're talking about like changes and like body things or whatever. Brandon and I talked about it because I crashed my bike last week too, just all the things happening. And I was having some pain, and then I was having like very weird thoughts. And I messaged him at one point and I was like, could you have like an accident that like shakes, that like causes you to like have these old emotions and things like that come back up? And he was like, oh yeah, for sure. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool.
That's
That's awesome.
crazy. That's
Like,
crazy.
yeah. So it's sort of that anything unprocessed. Yeah.
And I'm trying to
Yeah.
avoid the unprocessed piece with this in particular because I am looking for another dog already. That's how I process. This is part of it.
I'm the same way. As soon as one gets to a certain age, I'm like, okay, we need a puppy. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's happening. I've been sending my husband pictures like constantly. I sent one today and he didn't respond and I was like, don't pretend you're in a fever dream. Know your way. Either I will drive 2.5 hours to go get this dog by myself, or you could come with me and be the hero for the kids. Who wants a puppy? I do.
Yes. I always do. I always do.
How does this
And now I
show
have
up?
Liv.
I can envision how this topic shows up for a 7. And I just want to like touch on a few different numbers really quick before we run out of
Yeah.
time.
Before we run out of time.
But for a 1, does it show up in the like in the I can't feel this way because like is it that like suppress?
I think a lot of, with the exception of 2s and 4s, I think most numbers suppress in some way. The way that if you think about 1s, 5s, and 3s are in the competency, like when you talk like conflict, we talk about their like conflict style being competency for those 3 numbers. I think the grief thing would be very similar, right? It's going to be, whatever the logical thing is that I can attach to that makes it hurt less or makes me less emotional or whatever is what I'm going to reach for. And it will be more of that suppression thing,
Right.
right? And in 9s and 7s, it'll be more avoidant, right? So they're gonna try to avoid it, which again is gonna end in suppression of some sort. I think 6s. Who am I missing? 6s, 8s, 6s and 8s. I think their conflict style tends to be reactive. So they're having a feeling, they're having a reaction to the thing that's happening, but I do think with both 6s and 8s, they're going to try to like
And
again.
three's a little bit, right?
Well, 3s are competency and conflict style, but there's still going to be like a logic thing that they want to attach to, or a control thing, or a plan for. Like I could imagine a 6 entering a grief space, and to avoid feeling the grief, they go straight to planning the event tied to, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh well, we'll have a meal, or we'll like if you think about like a funeral situation or whatever, right? Like, oh well,
Mhm.
I'll organize the pictures, or I'll call the caterer, or I'll, right? Like they would jump into like that sort of thing
The action.
rather than, yeah, feeling it.
Got it.
And I'm just imagining that I could be wrong on any of these. I think though, grief is really uncomfortable. Change and grief are often linked together. And, you know, in grief, when we have actual loss, we've lost someone, either someone or something, or someone or something has like moved away or gone or whatever. Like that kind of grief, I think, is like I'm trying to like think of the right words of how I want to say this. Where it's like that kind of emotional loss, where you're going to have this big thing, is maybe different than changes that don't involve like the connection in the same way. I don't have the best example, but think about like changes like, I don't know, your favorite pair of shoes
It's
gets ruined, or like something that's like a little more, it doesn't have that same emotional anchor, I guess is what I'm trying to get to.
like it doesn't have that weight
Yeah.
attached to it.
Like a lot of change. I guess I'm trying to get to a lot of change is grief, right? That's what we're actually working through when we talk about the change curve. The change curve and the grief curve are basically exactly the same. But I do think it is different depending on the emotions.
Yeah. Well, they're super, super linked for me in the work in all of this right now. I'm glad that I'm in a bit more of an independent place in some of this. There are probably some numbers that should be like on the flip side of that. Like maybe instead of trying to do it all on your own, like you need to, it would be growth for them to open up to someone else and allow them to like carry a little bit of that.
Well, I think, yeah, to point out, I mean, those numbers are 3, 8, 5
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
7. Yeah.
yeah. It's different. Like in the end of all of this, like we will be okay. Like that's what I like if there's a spin out moment, it's like you have to picture like 6 months from now. Like this is going to feel different 6 months from now. Like time is really the only thing that helps me like in the heat of it, in addition to like allowing myself to move through and feel everything, to not leave anything loitering in my body.
I do think time and sometimes space, depending on the situation, can
Yeah.
definitely help in a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's the, I was thinking about that too, right? Like it's the sort of that constant, when you think about the things that you grieved really hard that you thought were going to break you forever. And like you can only look back at them and be like, yeah, but I made it through. Like everything was fine. Like, but it's really hard in the moment.
It's hard.
And yeah.
It is hard, but it will be okay. And hopefully everyone is starting to be on the upswing and I stay healthy. That's where we're going.
Yes. Yeah. In the meantime, you're just gonna feel all the feelings you gotta feel about it. You can be mad that the whole family got
Yeah.
sick. You can be sad about Bentley. And
Mhm.
you can be frustrated about the state of the world that we live in these days.
But
And yeah, we're about to have a Lunar New Year, and like things will be better.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, we're one week away from that. So
1 week.
so if the calendar new year didn't start out so great for you, we get another chance here.
Thank God.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right.
Well, this was great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And next week is we're going to be almost to our official 1 year anniversary. Our official 1 year anniversary is February 21st. So we won't quite be there next week, but we'll be dang close. So
Also, Keegan's half birthday.
nice.
Didn't think of that.
6.5? No, 7.5. 7.5?
7.5. Yep.
7.5.
Okay. Well, like, share, comment, laugh at my pain.
Subscribe.
I don't know.
Give us your
All the things.
feedback. Yeah, how do you grieve? Like if you gotta share with
Right.
us. Yeah.
Right.
Or deal with change, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Okay,
Holly.
cool. Yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.